I've always wanted to insulate my house because years ago I became aware of climate change, probably before it was even part of the public consciousness. And I'm very aware of the serious impacts for future generations and for ourselves. And energy consumption in the house is a massive part of our carbon footprint, so I wanted to reduce my household's energy consumption. The rooms in the top of the house were really mouldy. There was that kind of black mould all over the walls.
It used to be quite damp in here, so I used to get asthma quite a bit.
It was quite cold, so I had to wear like 2 layers when I went to bed in the winter.
So we've basically insulated the whole of our house. We live in a terraced Victorian house. We've insulated it on the inside. I think it's called dry lining. So that is a really, really messy job. We've had to knock away the external walls back to the brick, damp-proof them, and then we've put on 80 mil thick insulation with plasterboard. So it meant that every single room in our house was a building site for what seemed like forever. We also got a new boiler, energy efficient one, and I had really wanted to get solar panels for solar hot water, but it turned out that we couldn't afford to have solar panels and insulation, and good insulation, and we decided that it was more important to insulate the house. We've got a few concerns, but we're hoping that maybe there's some advice that we can have about how to stop all the other drafts that there are in our house, which slightly undermine the insulation. So in here, like in all the rooms, we've got 80 mil of insulation with plasterboard on top. You can sort of see how it's altered the bay window.
It's one of the best examples I've seen of this kind of work. Oh, lovely old fireplace. Is it original?
I don't know, we didn't put it in.
Yeah. One of the big challenges, of course, with fireplaces is if they are open, you can lose up to 75% of the heat in that room, which is a tremendous amount. But in the colder months of the year, it's good to block it off, and you can get products like a chimney balloon, which you inflate and just put into the top of the opening.
I'd like to show you my front door.
Oh, yes.
See if we could stop the drafts coming through.
Oh, let's see what we can find then.
The biggest problem we've got with our front door, I don't know if you can see down there,
Yes.
there's a massive gap. And that gap has to be there because our floor slopes.
Yes.
And if you opened the door without the gap, the door would stick on the floor.
Indeed, yeah. I think the only answer I can think of there is a soft brush underneath, which would allow for the unevenness and sort of, if it's bendy enough, would get over it. I think there'll be a degree of trial and error, finding a long enough brush to compensate for the slope on the floor.
Okay, and what about around the edges? Because there is a draft that comes in around there.
Probably some external draft strip fastened to the external face of the door, which compresses when you close the door. That would probably seal most of that.
I think the eco-renovation that we've done, well, talking about the insulation, has cost us about £8,500. So financially, I don't know if that was a good idea. It was just something that I felt very strongly about.
The comfort factor inside the house will improve dramatically, and that does enable you to turn thermostats down and reduce the demand on your boiler. So there is a positive fuel saving to be made. Another great advantage is the capital value which you're adding to your home. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors calculated recently that in the northwest of England, our area, this can add about £20,000 to the value of a property when insulation of this type is done.
Well, the insulation has made it warmer and it's much more just better.
One of our sons had asthma and he doesn't seem to have asthma anymore, so I feel really pleased. Particularly as time goes on, into the autumn and we still haven't had the heating on. I mean, initially I thought it was probably because it's been really mild, but now it's not particularly warm outside, and yeah, so I'm really pleased.
I just have this confession to make, like when I used to come around here last winter and like even in the spring as well, I was absolutely freezing. And I used to think, I really wish Tabby was coming to my house and I wasn't going to hers because I'm always freezing. It's amazingly different.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic.